Hello, welcome back. In today's video, I'll guide you through the Modifier Mockup module step by step. We've already imported the upper and lower jaw into the archive project, together with a lower jaw in an opened position. Additionally, there are two face scans ready for this case. So let's dive right in by launching the Modifier software. We complete the login by selecting our user and picking the appropriate license package. Since the models aren't aligned yet, we'll follow our standard alignment process using the automatic tool and the ghost models to position our scans correctly. Furthermore, we'll also load the 7 to 8 plaster plane to ensure accurate tooth scaling. Once done with the positioning, we continue into the tooth placement mode. We can see that the face scans have been auto-imported into the project. You'll notice two scans, one with mouth closed and one smiling. Right-click a face scan to open the scan editor where we can modify any scan in the scene. We then draw a margin around the lips. Here, you can cut out the region or split it into two objects. Let's go with splitting. Hit Apply, and voila! Two separate objects, perfect for showcasing the original smile anytime. In the group window, we can now also spot the separated face scan. Now let's focus on the lower jaw. In this case, since we want to use the bite in the open position, we delete the lower jaw in the final occlusion by right-clicking on the scan in the group window. We switch back to the archive and drag and drop the other lower jaw into the modifier. This brings us right to the Add and Remove mode. Activating a scan with the left mouse button lets us define if it's an upper or lower jaw, choose between the original or aligned coordinates, and select the scan type. We could even designate it as an additional main scan for a lower jaw restoration. In this case, we will import it as antagonist and apply. Next, open the teeth library. I'll pick AIDA and activate a setup from 6 to 6. Now we activate the plaster plane for proper scaling. Once again, the chain mode is already pre-selected, so we activate the interdental collision, enabling the auto resize function, and we also click on Mirror for symmetric adjustments. Mirror syncs movements across both sides simultaneously. We can deform and resize the setup effortlessly by holding onto one tooth and positioning it. Holding Shift allows us to reposition one tooth individually, ignoring the chain mode. Shift and Control allows us to do the same for scaling. As long as mirror is active, those tweaks are automatically applied to the opposite side. Hold Alt to adjust the midline dynamically. The teeth glide along the chain for smooth repositioning of the whole setup. We can, of course, also make use of our patient's face scans by displaying them and adjusting, for example, the length of the incisors or position of the canines. Once mirror is disabled, we can now refine each side individually and make sure we achieve occlusal contacts. In the group window, we can also enable the true color rendering for realistic tooth previews with customizable shades. We transition over to modeling and deactivate interdental collision. Once again, I will be mostly using teeth parts for my modifications, and I also strip the texture first to spot the marginal edges clearly. If you want to change the tooth shape a bit, we tweak one side, right-click to mirror, and have your workload just like that. Switching to entire tooth mode for positional adjustments, rotations, or scaling, even mid-modeling. Let's turn on the distance view in analysis to identify future contact points. Now we mirror the canine over to apply the same dimension also on the other side. and make sure to adjust contacts conservatively to avoid over-removal later. Now, once our teeth are in position, let's bring in the face scans to draw some comparisons with the situation in the patient's mouth. Okay, now let's click on Next and proceed with the Mockup module. The first step is the creation of the blockout. We incline our insert direction to ensure gentle undercuts in the cervical region. Since there are no missing teeth, we set the blockout angle to 0, allow all the undercuts up to 0.45, and click on Apply. After the blockout generation, we switch to modeling and fill up some areas to avoid unnecessary jamming of the mockup between the teeth. After clicking on Next, we can draw the margin for our mockup. I always make sure to stay above the blocked-out surface to avoid creating caverns. Double-clicking will close the margin. Adjust the minimum thickness and adaptation force if needed, or ignore the margin entirely for a quick tooth shell, ideal for printing fast veneer prototypes. Let's re-enable the margin, and the generated minimal thickness will be merged seamlessly with the teeth. Now we head to modeling for our refinements. We can trim and smooth material around the seam for a homogeneous shape. You also have the option to remove certain areas entirely from the mockup and create a hole. For example, if there are strong contacts or if you want to create a guide for the dentist. Additionally, we can of course also use the articulator functions, cut occlusal or interdental contacts. When ready, hit Next and finish. Opt to leave holes open, as we'll do here, or you can cover them with the minimal thickness. We check the final result together with the face scans and then click on Save. Jumping back to Archive shows our final scene and the mockup file ready for milling. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next one. Goodbye.